What is going on right now in our country is the biggest transfer of wealth from the poor class to the billionaire class.
This is a moment I'm never going to forget, because tonight hundreds of Republican members of Congress are wanting to line up to vote for the biggest transfer of wealth from the working poor and the working class to billionaires and mega corporations that we've seen in this country's history. This is a deep moment of betrayal.
And by the way, if you aren't familiar with how this is going to affect your wallet, let's go to, here's the Tennessee Holler. They shared this clip here with an economist explaining how the House passes the sweeping domestic policy bill and how this tax cut on the ultra wealthy, if they did not do it, would have saved literally $750 billion for Medicaid, for people's health insurance, and all of that. Have a listen to this.
If you're in the top 20% of Americans, you're going to get roughly a 3.7% increase in your after-tax income, really all from these tax cuts. But if you go all the way to the bottom and everything in between essentially leads you to the bottom, if you're in the bottom 20%, you actually lose $800. Why do you lose $800?
And if you are poor, you cannot afford to lose another penny. You're trying to save money. You're trying to get your kid the dental work he needs, braces, this very simple stuff. You're trying to afford basic groceries. $800. I mean, most families, most people cannot afford a $400 emergency payment. We're talking $800 right here.
You get a very small tax cut, and you get a very large cut in Medicaid and these other benefits that we were just talking about that affects the 20% disproportionately. So this is a highly regressive bill that essentially favors the wealthy, doesn't do much for the middle class, and hurts the poor. And then if you want to see this in stark comparison, if we simply eliminated the tax cuts for people making over $500,000 a year, which is roughly what President Biden was proposing, it would save $1.1 trillion. That happens to be just slightly more than the Medicaid cuts and the food stamps, or SNAP cuts, if you will, put together.
So there it is. The tax cuts for people making over $500,000 are wiping out money that would go to the poor. I don't sign off on this. And if you live in a state that has a representative that is voting for this, you need to vote in somebody that will change this. Right now, it might be too late, but coming up on the next midterm election, you have the ability, if you live in one of those states, to vote them the fuck out of office.